Hello, friends, and welcome back to Ghouls Night In, the spooky chat show with your best ghoul friends. I'm Penny Snark.
And I'm Midge Munster.
And Midge, we have talked several times about things that we thought were going to be a bigger deal when you were a kid.
Sure.
Notably, the Bermuda Triangle, famously quicksand, and one of the things that haunted and thrilled me as a scaredy kid was the Iron Maiden.
Oh, good. I like where this is headed.
Yes. So, for anyone who is not familiar with this term, doesn't have something immediately jump to mind, the Iron Maiden is a device that looks like a big metal sarcophagus, basically. It's hinged, so the front opens up. There's often, a very kind of detailed, design on the outside, but the inside is full of spikes.
Yeah. Pretty on the outside, not so pretty on the inside.
Yes. With the idea being you open it up, you put someone inside, and then if they are not perfectly still, they will be shredded by spikes, basically. You often see one with a hole to open up for the eyes. Very spooky.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this. So this is ostensibly a medieval torture device. And I feel like this was the it girl of torture in media of our youth.
Well, and especially any kind of gothic horror too. I feel like this is the go-to imagery because it's very just very impactful visually.
Yes. I mean, I definitely think, of course, of the iconic Iron Maiden scene in Sleepy Hollow.
Sleepy Hollow, baby.
Hollow. You got a big torrent of blood in there.
And his little hand scars from the spikes.
The spikes. And I had actually forgotten this because I was like, I know I've seen this in Scooby-Doo, I think. And it's actually... there's in Scooby-Doo in the Ghoul School, Winnie makes a juicer that's an Iron Maiden. And it just, which, thinking about that now, I'm like, that's incredibly gross.
Right.
But delightful. Love it. We also have one in more modern cinema, in the Old Guard, the Netflix movies. We do have
with Charlize Theron.
Yes, we have a character who is imprisoned in kind of an Iron Maiden type situation, and of course we just saw Miss Susie Toot doing an Iron Maiden inspired runway on Drag Race. So definitely still part of the conversation. Still. An aesthetic and an item that people are talking about and thinking about.
And of course, impactful in the musical zeitgeist as well.
Yes. Did you ever have okay, this is one of those things where I'm like, how we all had a blank phase. Did you were you exactly into medieval torture when you were a kid?
I would not say I was into it, no.
Okay.
But I was hyper aware of it, I suppose. I was very into medieval and Renaissance culture, and that was one of our gifted and talented units that we spent a lot of time on, and I feel like there was a pretty substantial amount of education about torture and things in that. So it's something I had a large familiarity with, but I have just always been very sensitive to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I know that there's apparently a very good new museum in Salem that's the Museum of Torture. And people have raved about how well curated it is and everything. And I can't make myself go.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those things that I was horrified and fascinated by, where I was just that kind of car crash, I can't look away.
Sure.
I feel like I had a dream about being trapped in an Iron Maiden when I was younger, but it's possible that I'm just thinking of a movie that I saw and have transposed it into a dream.
Right.
in my older years. But yeah, so growing up in the 90s, like in 2000s, like you said, Midge, medieval stuff was definitely kind of a thing we were learning about, talking about. I was very nervous about Iron Maidens or like the rack or thumb screws. But the thing that separates the Iron Maiden from any of these other devices is that she is an imposter.
Yes.
The Iron Maiden, there is no evidence that she ever existed as an actual implement of torture. This is a fraud that we all heard about and believed. So the prevailing belief is that the Iron Maidens that we do see in museums today were constructed in, surprise, the 19th century, and were never actually in use. You might say, how could this be? What would make this happen?
Penny, how could this be? What
Thank
would make
you,
that
Midge.
happen?
Thank you. As much as we love to go, oh, those crazy Victorians, the Victorians like to go, oh, those crazy medieval people. Which I mean, we still do today, clearly. People always like to look back at previous ages and be like, wow, it was so less enlightened and barbaric back then. I sure feel good about me and my time that I live in.
Well, and I'm sure too, even just like, fascinating when you're living in a time that kind of, I feel like what's happening right now with the Victorian era, when you're living in a time like that where there's a high death rate, being obsessed with a time before you where there was also a high death rate, and how did it look the same? How did it look different?
Totally.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And I mean, much like we do today, the Victorians loved a gory story. They, like we talked about definitely in like the wax museums episode, there's a reason that people loved like the murderers, the thieves. I think there is like medieval torture in a lot of these wax museums.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely is. Yeah.
Is definitely the vibe. So you might say, but if this did not exist, where did it come from?
Penny, but if this didn't exist, where did it come from?
I'm so glad you asked, Midge. Most historians track the first description of an Iron Maiden to a German philosopher named Johann Philipp Siebenkees in the 1700s. So as I was researching this episode, I noticed that most sources were just like, yeah, okay, so this guy wrote a story about an Iron Maiden, and then people just believed it. And I was like, okay, but why? Like, what was this about? What did he write? Like, where did this come from?
Yeah, how did it gain so much prevalence from one story?
Yeah. And so I have a quote from this story that I will share with you. So this Johann wrote about a man who in 1515 in Nuremberg who was forging coins. And so they were like, you have been convicted of forging coins and we're putting you in our Iron Maiden.
Forging coins is in like counterfeiting money?
Yes.
Okay.
Counterfeit, yes. So I am going to read this quote. So he says that the man was executed slowly so that the very sharp points penetrated his arm and leg in several places. Blah, blah, blah. It does mention the root of his member, which is wild. Also buttocks, but not enough to kill him. And so he remained making great cry and lament for 2 days, after which he died. So there you go. Thanks
for that.
Thanks for that. And I was like, okay, where did this come from? And I saw one source refer to it as being part of a guidebook, and I was like, this is the worst guidebook ever.
What?
Like, and then I ended up going on a little bit of a rabbit hole, because on Wikipedia it mentioned it was like, it was for coal portage, and I was like, well, what the fuck is coal portage?
Right.
So this is apparently like an official term for distributing religious tracts. So this was something that started in post-Reformation Europe, as there was obviously lots of differing religious beliefs flying around at that time. Everyone was trying to kind of promote their new thing. And so people were hiring writers and peddlers to like go to rural areas with their, kind of religious books. And then over time, they started just having like cheap novels and stuff too, because like there was no other way for most people in rural areas to like get books and printed materials. And it said they would have like a fictionalized, like a novel version of like events that were happening. So it was
so fake news.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of unclear. But they
You know what the rural people need to be not only uninformed but misinformed.
Right. It's like
what?
they need religious tracts and fictional news stories.
We'll take them from no information. Like, also, wouldn't that, I don't know. I wonder, is there like a side plot to keep people from moving into more populated areas?
Right, they're like,
this is what's happening in the city.
Right, don't go to Nuremberg. They're putting people in spike coffins there.
The maiden, yeah.
Definitely could be. But yeah, so the just because I thought this was interesting, the like noun version was like saying that someone was a colporteur. And it's not currently a term they're using, but previously, like both Jehovah's Witnesses and Seventh-day Adventists have like people were called colporteurs who were, going from house to house and doing their thing.
Huh.
So there you go. That's kind of a fun little deep dive into, not a deep dive, a shallow dive into something that I was intrigued by. So I'm guessing it sounds like maybe this was like you were kind of saying like a parable in like a religious text that he was kind of like, oh yeah, let me tell you this story, and probably it was meant to have like a moral side to it. But there are, the majority of sources are like, it comes from this guy, but then a few like more detailed sources were like, okay, this is the story of it that people know, but like the word Iron Maiden was in something that was published previously. So it sounds like maybe he didn't fully invent the concept, but like his version is the one that people were like, oh, well, this sounds legit. This must be a thing.
Yeah, I mean, almost kind of an urban legend kind of thing, where
yeah,
like, just the storytelling, the imagery was probably so impactful that it stuck with people, and they talked about it, and it's the humans can lick too story of
yes,
our generation.
Yes. Humans can lick too, and I'm not
the Who Was Phone.
Yes, the Who Was Phone of the 1700s. And because there are, I'm not obviously getting too deep into torture things in this episode, because it's not a fun thing to talk about, but like there have been instances of people being like put in boxes and things that had spiky things. So like it's not it wasn't like a brand new concept to be like, you could put someone inside something that hurts.
And bleed slowly, yeah.
Yeah, so, but kind of like the development of it into this more kind of elaborate concept is not something that is historically accurate. So he was talking about this Iron Maiden of Nuremberg, which did exist, quote, quote, obviously after he wrote about this. There is a duplicate of it that still exists. The belief is that they were both created in the 1800s, but the original was destroyed during World War II, so it is not available to inspect. But when you look at other Iron Maidens that are kind of extant examples, the belief is that they were kind of put together with existing pieces of real, like, medieval stuff, and you kind of cobble it together into a thing that, like, feels real, which I feel like is very in line with things that happen today when you're like, well, this
also very,
sounds like it's true.
Yeah, it's also like just very P.T. Barnum core. To,
Oh
like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
it's yeah, very sensationalist.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And obviously the biggest proof that these are not real is that there are lots of sources of information about torture happening through history, and none of them
Yeah.
mention the Iron Maiden. So she is a myth, a tall tale. I have to say, like, looking at it, I'm just like, this is like, it's too goth. Like,
Yeah, it's like
it feels like a thing that someone made.
right. Well, yeah, like I don't know. It I mean not that it wouldn't be horrible and cruel, but
Oh
like
yeah.
it feels too elegant for people who
Exactly.
were torturers to have come up
Yes.
with.
And like if it was like, oh, this is like
Like why
literally
would you
like
make it so cunty?
exactly, she's too cunty. Like if it was just like a box with spikes on the inside, I'd be like, sure, that seems like a thing
Right.
you'd torture people with, but being like, I'm going to make an elaborate metal goth lady to put people
Right.
inside. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Now, I am going to tell you, I surely was watching, you brought this up, Miss Susie Toot,
Yes.
and I believe, like, right when she stepped on the runway with that look, her monologue, like, her talking head portion said something about, like, I'm paying tribute to the fictional Iron
Yes.
Maiden, and I was watching it, I don't think I was watching it, like, in person with Devin and Andrew, but we're always, like, texting when we watch it, and Devin and I both went, like, fictional.
Yeah.
And I was, what was that, 6 months ago? I was 6 months ago years old when I found out that this was not real.
I was gonna ask because as I was watching it, I was like an Iron Maiden look, and I already knew, and I was like, oh, like yeah, it is cool. But I was impressed that she mentioned that it was fictional, and I did notice when I was like listening to some recap like podcasts, people were like, wait, is that true? Is it not real?
Yeah. Miss Toot educating the children.
It's
And by
true.
the children, I mean my 32-year-old ass.
By the children, I mean Midge.
Yeah, but no, that, I mean, she was our history queen on
Yes,
there.
very
She's our
true.
vintage
Very
gal.
true.
So yeah, but that was new information to me, and probably because this was not an area of like particular special
Sure,
interest
yeah.
for me. It was just something I always, again, was like aware of, and yeah, Sleepy Hollow, of course, it was probably my main impression of the Iron Maiden. So yeah, that was a late in life learning experience thanks to a drag queen. So let them read books.
Yeah, let them read books and tell the children
Let
about
them
which
tell
medieval
children.
torture things are real and not.
Exactly.
And okay, the last kind of I will say postscript is that I felt like I had to mention Iron Maiden the band.
Yeah.
In large part because they made researching this episode incredibly difficult. So
Like, not that Iron Maiden.
not that one. Thanks, especially when I'm trying to be like Iron Maiden in movies, and they're like, here are a bunch of
Right.
movies that have Iron Maiden songs in them, and I'm like, no, that's not what I wanted.
No.
So yeah, so I would say that this is definitely the most iconic use of the name. It is probably the thing that most people imagine first. And so I was like, ooh, I gotta find out like how they were inspired by this Iron Maiden. But apparently the name was inspired by watching Man in the Iron Mask, which isn't even about an Iron Maiden.
Okay, yeah.
But he was just like, oh yeah, this made me think of Iron Maidens, and that's a cool name. And so we went with that.
I mean,
So
listen, it is a cool name. He's right.
he's I was like,
But-
it's true. It is a cool name. I was hoping for a little bit of a more elaborate story. Maybe there are, I only looked into it quickly, so maybe some Iron Maiden heads out there will have some true facts for me. But I did not have a whole episode worth of Iron Maiden information, but I will share that Iron Maiden album covers are one of the things that scared me as a kid.
You didn't. You weren't into the scary zombie art.
No, I did not like the scary zombie art. I clearly remember like people like having the dude on like t-shirts and being like, ugh, I don't like it.
Yeah, he's a spooky guy.
He's very spooky.
Little Eddie the Heady.
Yeah. Okay, I was like, his name is Eddie, right?
It is Eddie,
Okay.
yeah.
I was like, am I like reverse connecting this? But no, his name was Eddie the whole time. So that is my little reveal into my favorite fake medieval torture device. We love her. She's an aesthetic queen, but she was not actually. She's younger than she looks. She's not actually from the Middle Ages.
She looks. She's taking her collagen.
Oh yes.
Well, yeah. Thank you for bringing that. That's something I've been wanting to talk more about ever since I learned that it wasn't real. So I'm really glad that you brought this.
I'm so happy. Yes, thank you everyone for tuning in. Let us know when you found out Iron Maidens weren't historically accurate. If it was right now, that's awesome. I would love if I got to reveal the truth to some folks. Otherwise, if you have known for a long time, good for you. You're up on the medieval torture facts. So. Yeah. Admirable. I'm sure it'll serve you in your everyday life. If you enjoyed our show, we would love to hear from you. You can leave us reviews on Apple Podcasts. You can leave us comments on our Spotify episodes, or you can send us an Instagram DM just to let us know what you think. I believe we are out of fresh hot reviews. I'm not sure if you have anything to share today, Midge.
Yeah, at this moment, to my knowledge, we are fresh out of hot reviews, everyone.
Womp.
Womp womp.
It's the perfect time.
Much like the Iron Maiden, the reviews do not exist.
No. But that means it's an even better time to leave one. So please do leave us a review. If you would like to hang out and participate in the conversation, you can join our Discord. There is a link in this episode description as well as in our Instagram bio, which is the other place you can find us. We are at Ghouls Night In Pod. And if you are looking for me, you can find me at Penny Snark.
And you can find me all over the web at Midge Munster.
And until next time, good.